was quite hard to picture myself in the role because women in engineering is uncommon.
There's not enough women in engineering, and we give a different view, if you like. It's good to have different people's perceptions on a problem.
Me and Lauren coming onto this podcast and talking about our careers and our life in engineering is very important.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pertemps Engineering Podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Lauren and Chloe today from Mars to tell us more about their journey into the wonderful world of engineering. So I'd like to start by asking Chloe, could you sort of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your role and what you do?
Yeah, so hi, my name's Chloe, and so I work at Mars Wrigley's. I recently just started a new role as a mechanical maintenance reliability engineer. So what that entails is I look after the maintenance and improvements of one of our wrapping lines.
Brilliant, thank you. And Lauren?
Hello, so my name's Lauren and I'm a maintenance planner scheduler at Mars Wrigley's Plymouth. My job focuses on ensuring that the equipment and systems we use to make some of our favourite treats, such as airwaves and Hubba Bubba, run smoothly and efficiently with minimum down.
Thank you. So interesting stuff in terms of what you're both doing in that sort of maintenance side of things. But I'm really intrigued to understand your journey into the sector. And I'd like to cast your mind back to when you sort of first started out. Am I correct in saying that you both started out in an apprenticeship route?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes. So Chloe, could you just explain sort of your journey into an apprenticeship and how you got there?
Yeah, so once I finished GCSEs, I went into my A-levels. I wasn't actually entirely sure what I wanted to do, but I was really interested in doing maths and science. So I did a maths and a science A-level, and then at the time I was doing geography. It was about a year in, I decided, I was like, I'm not actually enjoying geography. Um, and a lot of my friends had gone down the engineering route. So I've been hearing stories about their apprenticeships, what they've been doing. And I was like, you know what, I'm actually really interested. So I picked up the BTEC engineering in sixth form. So I did 2 years of that, enjoyed that. Whilst I was in sixth form, I was doing placement at a local factory. So I actually got to see engineering hands-on. So that was really good. And yeah, then that led me into doing my apprenticeship with Mars Wrigley's, and I've been here ever since.
Brilliant. And how long have you been with Mars?
So it's just been 7 years.
Right. Okay. Got you. Got you. And yourself, Lauren?
So I started off very similar role to Chloe. We actually went to college together and school together.
Yeah.
So small world. So I did the same. I started off and I was like, right, I'm going to do maths and the three sciences. Decided that I really didn't enjoy the maths. I thought I would, but my teacher was absent quite a lot. So I thought, right, I need to do something else here. So I completed my engineering course in 6 months. It was meant to be a 2-year course, but I just need to do something else. So I completed that, and then I got an apprenticeship with BD Plymouth. So they make the blood collection tubes. So I started off up there it was like a apprentice, but then a maintenance technician. And then I digressed because I decided I enjoyed the data side of things. And I thought, right, I want to do a bit more data entry and that kind of stuff, if you like. And then a position come up at Mars Wrigley's, and I just applied for it just as a one-off, see what happens. And here I am. So I've been here for 2 years now.
I think that goes to show if there is an interest, put yourself out there and apply. What would you say to any young girls that are looking, or young women that are looking to sort of pursue a career in sort of engineering?
Just have a look. There's so much information out there now about engineering that just go on Google, speak to friends and family. There's so many career fairs as well regarding engineering, and engineering is so broad. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a mechanic, technician. You could be a design engineer, you could be what Lauren is, maintenance planner. And there's so much to do with engineering that there will probably be something that you will enjoy.
Definitely. Would you echo that, Lauren?
Totally agree.
Yeah, totally
Couldn't have
agree.
summed it up better.
I think it's really interesting that you both went to school together. In terms of your classmates and colleagues, were there any other female engineers or aspiring engineers on your course?
So in our first course that we did together, we were the only two girls. And then when we went to our apprentice route, we was doing different apprenticeships, but the college was the same as well. So there was a few more of us there, but it was quite a big college. But in regards of our team, again, in Mars, we are currently the only 2 girls in the team, but we have taken on some more girl apprentices, so that would be good to see them grow.
Brilliant. And in terms of yourself then, so you're the 2 sort of female engineers on site. How important is representation, do you feel, sort of for yourselves in terms of female engineering?
I think it's very important. So I know when I was doing my education for apprentice, it was quite hard to picture myself in the role because women in engineering is uncommon. So I think, me and Lauren coming onto this podcast and talking about our careers and our life in engineering is very important. So young women and even people who may think they want to change their careers, I think it's important to see these stories and know it's possible.
Yeah. That's same for yourself, Lauren?
Yeah, exactly the same. There's not enough women in engineering, and we give a different side of view, if you like. So it's good to have different people's perceptions on how they may enter into a problem, and everyone solves problems differently. So by having a broader view and a different perspective, it's really good to have.
And have you found there's been any sort of challenges or barriers to entry for yourselves going into the engineering sector?
I think maybe one of my challenges was more like self-doubt, knowing that there wasn't really any females or girls in engineering. It's kind of self-doubt of being, well, can I do this? So it's just more like persevering, the wanting to learn, and by doing that, you earn respect. And engineering problems don't care if you're a girl or a boy. At the end of the day, if you're willing to learn and stick at it, then go for it.
Good answer, good answer. And you're both working at Mars, and Lauren, you touched on right early on at the tasty treats, like Hubba Bubba was mentioned, one of my childhood favourites. So tell me about what it's like working with some of those brands and supporting sort of that sector.
It's really exciting. So, every shop we go, we always see our products, and it's good to know that, to see that product out on the shelf, we've had an impact. We have made an impact to be able to have, so people can buy our products. But it's also such a brilliant conversation starter. Like once you tell someone that you're working at Mars Wrigley's, they're like, "No way, you make the chewing gum!" Like people love our product, and it is amazing.
Yeah, I'd imagine it fills you sort of great pride actually when you see that on the shelves.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, big fan, big fan. In terms of sort of the projects that you've involved in, I'm really keen to understand what a day in the life looks like. So Lauren, could you sort of explain to me what a typical working day is for you?
Each day is different in my role, but generally our weeks are fairly similar in the sense that we'll have maintenance on set days of the week. So I'll make sure that the engineers have all got their maintenance plans and their work orders ready for the tasks. I'll make sure that they've got everything they need, so the downtime's aligned, that they can isolate those machines without needing to isolate another area, for example. I will look at putting the service contracts on if they have different contractors on. So not all of our machines are maintained by the people in-house. Quite a few of them get contracted out to like a broader company, like generally the people that make the machines. So I'll organise those. Then when they bring the work orders back, I'll make sure that they've signed them off. I'll look at all the comments that they've put. And then if there's any corrective works, or if they say, for example, we need to review this more often, I'll then change the schedule to align with that. But that's like a very brief overview of a maintenance day. And then outside of the maintenance days, I'll be doing like task list updates for the work orders. I'll be aligning with the projects engineers as they bring in new equipment. I'll make sure that they've got all the parts, or the equipment numbers are aligned, or the functional locations. It's quite a lot to it. It's not what people think. People think, oh, you put your work orders in, that's it for the week. It's really not. There's quite a lot of background work that goes into it. So, and
And
it's insurances as well.
yeah, I was going to say, what you said, it's not quite what people think. And I think sometimes perception, when we talk about engineering, we have a vision of a dirty factory, oil everywhere. You're there as your Allen keys and spanners all day long. Can you tell me sort of in terms of that cycle of production, what type of machinery and the environment that you're working within? Tell me a little bit more.
Every time that machine gets worked on, they need to ensure that it's been maintained to a high standard. If it is maintenance or if it's a breakdown, then after the breakdown, they need to make sure that they account for all of the tools that they've used. They need to make sure that the machine's been cleaned, and if it does get swabbed, because obviously it's a food factory, so the standard of cleanliness and hygiene is very high. So it's just to ensure that the product that's getting to the consumer is of a high standard.
Definitely. And Chloe, your typical working day, obviously you're involved in maintenance again, but can you tell me a little bit more about your working day and how it differs?
Yeah, so same with Lauren, as you said, each day is very different. So at the moment, I'm currently doing 4-day week because I've gone back into education. So what my week looks like, so I go college again on the Monday, and then that is currently my maintenance day, but that is getting changed because I'm out on the Monday. So I would have a maintenance day where I complete my maintenance on my machines. So that will be replacing parts before they fail, check-in, inspection, and lubrication. And then my next day, it could be, and is just depending on what happens on the day. So I might be called in to support major breakdowns. So I'll be supporting our shift mechanics. I'll be getting involved with ongoing projects that we've got on at the moment for improvements for our machine and efficiency. I'll be getting in contact with our suppliers and contractors to organise work and get parts in. I also do a little bit of design. When we're doing our improvement projects, there may be an element of design, so we need to make new bracketry, or when we're making modifications, we need to design it to see if it works. So yeah, each day can be different, and you make a plan, but sometimes that plan might not always go to plan because you may be called out on the shop floor to support. But it is enjoyable, and I enjoy not doing the same thing day in and day out.
Brilliant. And what are you just touched on the fact that you're doing day a week at college. What are you currently studying?
So I'm doing a foundation mechanical engineering degree.
Okay. And it's sort of specifics. What's involved in that?
So I'm in my second year now, but so that'll be looking at CAD. So that is where you do your 3D designs, further engineering science and maths. We're currently this year we're looking at pneumatics and hydraulics, and we're also touching on project management.
Got you. There's a lot to take in terms of someone that's maybe looking at engineering as a future career. Sort of what qualifications do you feel would be most beneficial for them to enter the world of engineering?
I think it depends on the type of route you want to go down. So if you want to be a hands-on mechanical or electrical engineer, I do believe an apprenticeship is the best route to go. So you get your education, but you also get your skills by being hands-on with your mentors and at college too. If you want to say go into maybe like design engineering where you work more office based on CAD programs, maybe looking at a specific college course in CAD design or going university. There's so many options out there, and it is just looking at seeing what is the best route for you.
You touched on role models, Chloe. I'm going to ask you this question, Lauren. In terms of role models for you, is there any role models that have sort of helped you currently where you work or previous places of work? Is there any role models that sort of have helped you and supported your career journey?
So starting off, even prior to starting work, my dad is was a high voltage electrician. So he was in an engineering environment. And then my uncle was a mechanical fitter in the dockyard. So I come from quite an engineering background, if you like. So I was always like, when I was growing up, messing around with things. I was quite a curious individual in the sense that I'd be, why is it like that? Why does it work like that? So then that sort of triggered my brain. And I just like to know how things work. And I don't like things if they're not perfect. I'm a bit OCD like that. So yeah, so they sort of led me into this channel. I completed work experience with the high voltage team and really enjoyed it. And then when I started work, the team that I was with up at BD were great. I was with some really highly skilled engineers, and they gave me the really good foundations that I required to get to sort of where I am now. So it gave me all the basic skills. And when I was starting off in my apprenticeship, and then once I'd sort of grown to know the machinery, I then was looked upon as more of a specialist up at BD for some of the machines. So that was when we ended up being put into a smaller team and we were looked upon as the maintenance department. So that was really good. And then when I moved here, I was sort of we're a team of two, but we've got our own department, if you like. So I plan the process side of things, and my opposite plans the wrapping side. We're still, again, a very close knit team, but we're sort of a bit more on your own, and you've got to do it, really.
You've
There's
got to
no
make it
back out
happen.
on it. You've got to make it happen. So if not, you've got a lot of people stood round.
So no pressure. In terms of sort of the
No
workforce then
pressure.
on both your sites, how many staff are currently working across the sites?
Pretty sure at the Plymouth site we've got about 600. Is that right, Chloe? I
So
don't
yeah,
know.
sounds about right over the weekend. So yeah, about 600 associates, give or take.
So if the machinery aren't working, you've got 600 people looking at you saying, hang on a minute, make it work, please. So yeah, absolutely no pressure whatsoever. I think it's brilliant. You talked about your dad and your uncle. Chloe, did you have any role models when you were growing up that kind of inspired you to explore engineering?
So a lot of my friends went into engineering, so I could kind of seen it through there. And my partner also went through the engineering route, so I kind of got to see it through him. And that was quite a big barrier because everyone was like, "You only want to do it because like obviously at the time I was young, so it was like you only want to do it because your boyfriend's doing it." And that was such a hard barrier to get through and actually prove to everyone that no, I'm doing this for myself. And I think that can be shown by like, all my achievements and stuff that, I did it because I wanted to. He inspired me to do it, but I was doing it for myself.
Yeah, so 7 years later, you've proved them wrong. Look at you.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely brilliant. And your journey into engineering. So we spoke about the apprenticeship route prior. We spoke about sort of barriers to entry. What would you say to a young sort of female now exploring engineering as a possibility? What would you say to them
So
in
just
terms of
believe in
advice?
yourself. If you find a career and you enjoy it and you want to do it, go for it. There's nothing stopping you. You're your own person. So just go for it. There's nothing else that you shouldn't be held back by anyone. So you should just do it.
Yeah. Chloe, yourself?
Yeah, so kind of like touch on what Lauren said, and like engineering opens up so many opportunities. So you might go into an apprenticeship for 4 years doing one route of engineering, and then come out really enjoying that a different part of engineering, and find yourself actually in a different job role, still within the engineering sector. But like you can just do all sorts of engineering, and engineering's all around the world. So no matter where you are, there's always going to be a job available.
Yeah, and I think that's particularly, for me at the moment when we talk about career prospects, I think engineering, there's so much out there, isn't there? There's so many
Yeah,
different types. I mean, you're working in maintenance, you've got design, so many different products out there. And I think you touched on everything has to be made. But at some point, someone's had to come up with that magical idea and say, how about we do it this way?
yeah.
So I think that's, a massive thing for me. So both of you this question, Laura and Chloe, what did you want to do when you were a young girl?
So when I was younger, I actually wanted to be an equine or agricultural vet. I've always had a love for animals, especially horses. I've got my own. So I've had him since I was 7. So I've had him a fair few years now. So it felt like a natural path. But over time, I realised that I wanted to keep my passion as a hobby and not as a job. So that led me towards more engineering. So I could still be hands-on with the engineering and problem solving, but keeping my passion completely separate.
I'd say you touched on sort of your passion outside of work. How has engineering influenced you outside of work?
It's influenced me quite a lot. My friends always say the common quote is, "Can tell you're a planner." Because everything's got to be laid out. It's all got to be methodical. Timings, I like everything to be perfect. I don't like being behind on things, and I like everything methodical and straight, essentially. So something that they all laugh at is a basic task of going out and fencing a horse's field. I'll make sure that every line is perfectly straight and they're all equally spread apart. And they're like, Lauren did that. So it sort of refers back to that, my hobby as well.
And Chloe, yourself, what did you want to be when you first started exploring the world of careers?
So when I was young girl, like it would always change. So I think at one point I wanted to be a farmer because I just loved pigs and cows. And I think at one point I wanted to be a police officer. Then growing up through secondary school, I really enjoyed geography until I got to sixth form and I didn't enjoy it. So that was the route I wanted to take. I wanted to go do something with geography based. So I was kind of all over the place. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think at that age, you don't actually fully understand, and as you grow, you get different interests. So I think it just changes all the time. So yeah, it wasn't until I'd got to sixth form really, and I was about, I think might have been 17 when I actually knew that engineering was the path I wanted to take.
And how has that sort of engineering background influenced you outside of work?
Oh, it's been brilliant. So when I bought my house, it's helped a lot. So we've done a lot of the renovation ourselves. So I was involved with rebuilding our new kitchen. Got involved with a lot of the plastering. I've also been involved. So my friend's got a garage. So we've had his car up on the lift, and I've helped rebuild his gearbox and put it back into his car. Helped put his engine back in. It's been amazing.
Lauren, we spoke about sort of the curious mind of how things have made. And do you think that's kind of, I suppose at an early age, you're curious at how things, do you think that's sort of evolved now? Do you still carry that forward in day-to-day career and outside of work?
I still carry it forward. So I'm the type that if something breaks, even if it's going to take me 10 hours to fix it and I can go and find the part down the road, I'll be the type that I want to fix it because I like the challenge. And I find it's almost embedded in me now because that's what I know and that's what I've grown up with. I don't want to be defeated by something. I want to be able to fix it. I want to get it back working. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I just want to get it back to how it should be.
And Chloe, in terms of yourself, is there any sort of projects that you'd say have been really cool that you've been involved with throughout your career that you could tell us about?
So I've been involved in many projects, but I haven't really ran them until this is when I was on this is when I was a shift engineer. But before I went into my career, I worked alongside the Royal Navy. There was a engineering project that we did during sixth form, and we got to prototype a drone for the Royal Navy. So that was a really cool project. So we got to work with one of the engineers from the Royal Navy, got to actually use a lot of different manufacturing techniques to create the prototype. So that was really cool.
And how important, you touched on, you did that sort of whilst at college, sixth form. How important has those opportunities been in terms of shaping your career now?
I think it definitely helped. So it just shows, like, taking up these opportunities to show your passion and that your drive and wanting to be into engineering. So if you've got opportunities, take them. They're only just going to better yourself.
Yeah. And Lauren, sort of why do you think it's important to have more girls in engineering?
I find it's definitely important to have more girls in engineering because, again, they give a different perspective of everything. The more people you have, the more opinions, the different perspectives again you get. The more people, the better ideas. So if you can come together as a team, you can make something really good.
Yeah, it's those well-rounded outcomes as well. Chloe, what about yourself?
Yeah, so I would agree with what Lauren was saying. I think diversity makes a better team. Yeah, women just bring different perspectives, different opinions, and different thoughts and feelings. And having a mixed team will just, you're going to get a better solution at the end.
And if you could tell yourself one thing when you were younger about becoming an engineer, what would it be?
Don't ever doubt yourself. If you can put your mind to it, you can do it.
Brilliant. And what would you say to someone who said engineering is just for boys? What would you say to them?
Wrong you are.
Well, that's the
It's not,
politest answer I've had so far, so thank you.
not just for boys. We all have our different spin on things, and every job, there's an engineer of some sort in it. So it would be a very boring world if engineers could only be boys.
Chloe, would you like to add anything or echo that?
Yeah, I just agree with what Lauren's saying. And, we're proof of that. That's not true. Me and Lauren, we have achieved so much in our short amount of time of being engineers. We've still got our whole career ahead of us, and we've achieved so much already. So we are the proof that, yes, girls can do it.
Well, look, both of you, thank you so much for coming on our Pertemps Engineering podcast today. Representation really does matter. Girls can engineer. You're proof of that. And we hope to encourage more female engineers to come into the sector. So again, thank you so much for helping raise the profile of diversity in engineering. It's greatly appreciated. And have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you.